Ladies and gentlemen, greetings and welcome to Let's Talk Theory, the show where we analyze some ideas and hypotheses around our favorite subjects. I'm your host Ezelrix, and today once again we're taking a trip to Oregon because we're talking about gravity falls. The last time I suggested that the main antagonist of the show, Bill Cipher, might be an alternate version of Dipper Pines, but today we're discussing a pretty well-known theory, the secret link between gravity falls and the amazing Adult Swim cartoon Rick and Morty. Before we begin, as always, we're gonna spoil both Rick and Morty and Gravity Falls, so be sure to be caught up to be spoiler-proof. Also, we're dealing with time travel, multiverses, and interdimensional travel, so buckle up because this episode will be very hard to follow. So now that this is out of the way, let's talk theory. To begin with what you might have seen on the internet countless times or not, Rick and Morty characters do interact with Gravity Falls character from time to time. There are multiple proof of that. Especially in the teaser for the 4th season of Rick and Morty. We see Bill Cipher appear as a graffiti on the background, and then we clearly see a Rick hanging out with Grunkle Forbes. Then of course, perhaps the most famous Easter egg, at some point in Gravity Falls, Grunkle Stan drops a mug, a pen and paper in a vortex. Then the 3 same item came out of another vortex in the first episode of Rick and Morty. At this point, it would be pretty stupid to deny that there is indeed a link between the two shows. And that's how we're gonna introduce our theory for today. What if I told you that Morty is not only visible in multiple episodes of Gravity Falls, but also that he shamelessly interacts with some of our main characters? That's right, the Morty that interacts with Dipper and Mabel Pines is none other than Blandin, the time traveler. Let's start by their appearances. Blandin is clearly older than Morty, but their genetic background seems pretty similar. Blandin is bald, and we can see that both Morty's grandfather on the side of Jerry and older Mortys eventually start to lose their hair. Speaking of older Mortys, we can see that they eventually start to pull up some weight, both on their bellies and beneath their chins, just like Blandin. But eventually Blandin gets his hair back when Dipper and Mabel defeats him in the trial of Globmark, and guess what? His hair are brown, just like Morty's. Granted, the two morphologies are not exactly likewise when we talk about shapes and colors, but we're dealing with two different shows with two different artworks. So even though Blandin and Morty's morphology are different, they are similar enough for us to start asking questions. And anyway, Morty's comes in all shapes and size. For God's sakes, there's even a hammer Morty. I mean, there was a hammer Morty. Godric's are hassles. Oh yeah, and speaking of artwork, have you noticed that we never see Blandin without his goggles until the end of the show where Bill Cipher possesses his body? So we've never seen his eyes, and remember that Rick and Morty characters have very peculiar drawn eyes. Gravity Falls characters have a single dot as a pupil, while Rick and Morty's pupil are more like a ink drop. It's not like Blandin was forced to hide his pupil. Remember that we see many agents of the time anomaly removal crew throughout the series, and none were protective goggles except Blandin. Maybe Blandin wants to hide his eyes behind his goggles because they're different, because he doesn't want to be identified as the Morty he was when he was 14. That was their appearance. Now what about their personalities? Blandin and Morty are basically the same person. They are both quirky, nerdy losers archetype. They lack self-confidence, but both of them can get really violent and even extreme when they get mad. Plus, you think that an organization that deals with time anomaly try to hire the best agent possible. But look at Blandin, he's a terrible operative. He was definitely not chosen for his high skills, but maybe because of his experience from all the adventure he went on with his grandpa Rick when he was 14. It's not even the first time a Morty gets recruited for such a job. On the Citadel, there are security guards Morty and even cops Morty. But perhaps the biggest clue we have is Blandin's voice. Have you noticed that Blandin was voiced by Justin Roiland, both co-creator of Rick and Morty and the voice of Morty? Behind the scene, Blandin and Morty are the same person, and as many Gravity Falls fans know, the biggest mysteries and clues are often given behind the scene. Gravity Falls is the kind of show that will throw you a clue that you can miss if you blink for too long. So maybe this is a clue that the two universes are indeed connected and that Morty is indeed present in Gravity Falls. We can imagine that Blandin used to be a Morty, and eventually his rig died of old age or something happened to him and he was never reassigned to another rig. I mean, when you think about it, the whole concept of reassigning Mortys to rig falls apart if there are an odd number of participants. Rigs being traditionally older than Mortys, it's likely that some of them die peacefully of old age, letting go of their all grown-up Mortys, getting them ready to move on. That or the Morty are genetically altered to stay young forever and stick to their rigs, but come on, what kind of egocentric megalomaniac would do such a... Oh, wait. Anyway guys, that was my theory on Blendin, the mysterious time travel. Tell me in the comments section what are your theories on this super character. Then subscribe and activate the bell to be notified when a new video comes up. Follow me on Instagram if you want to support my artwork, and if you like what you see, you can always purchase some of my best pieces at artpal.com and even some t-shirt on my Utip, all link in the description. Share this video with all your Rick and Morty and Gravity Falls fans friend, and as always, thanks for watching.